Here. Oh wait.
Hello, welcome to ShareLove.Fund's Anatomy of Easy Seat.
So we have Easy Seat, and this is part of our online teacher training. So I'm going to put the board down and we'll get to work.
We'll get to work, and so we'll be showing you and explaining the anatomy in Easy Seat, meaning the muscles that are involved, the bones. And I'm just going to introduce you to Mr. Bones for a moment. This is Mr. Bones. And he's going to hang out next to Ashley just for a few moments here while we go over the anatomy. So first I'll explain the anatomy of Easy Seat when it comes to the bones, and then Ashley, while she's seated, obviously we can't peel away Ashley's skin so you can see her muscles, but we'll explain the musculature that's involved. And we'll also explain the benefits, digestive benefits, and also maybe some contraindications that might arise in this seat.
Can I just ask you to get me into Easy? Like, is this, some people have a question like, what leg should they have?
It's
forward?
always the left leg in first, right leg in front of the left.
And then both are flat.
Yes, and both are flat. And then from here, what you do is you begin to ease your way forward and back from the pelvis. Just a little gentle forward and back, just from your pelvis, forward and back, till you find a comfortable seat. Then your sits bones, which are, so let's go right after it. Your sits bones are right here, where your hamstrings attach. They're right here. Your hamstring muscles attach from here to here. This is your femur. This is the biggest, strongest bone, longest bone in the body. Right here, this attaches into the hip socket, and your hamstrings run in the back of your femur, and they come and they attach to the outside of your lower leg. They go across the back of the knee, and they attach to your tibia and fibula. This is your tibia, the big bone. Fibula is a small bone. So your hamstrings come down here, and those are involved in your easy pose. The next part, this is, you're looking at the back of your hip. This is your sacrum, and then you have your glutes, maximus, minimus, medius. Medius is on the outer edge. Minimus is under maximus, so those muscles are involved too. Your seat, your glutes, we sit on them, we walk with them. They're involved in running, they're involved in kicking a leg behind us, kicking a leg in front of us. So the glutes are a major muscle. They're actually very strong muscles and neglected muscles because we sit on them all damn day. So those are your glutes are involved. And then you have your tailbone, and you have which is down here, which is there's a whole bunch of muscles and ligaments that are down here. Then you have rotator muscles that come out here to help you rotate the hips so that you can get into easy pose. And then you have your spinal muscles. Some people call them paraspinal or erectors. And there's a whole bunch of different names of erectors. For your purposes, you don't need to know every single name, but they mainly run along the spinal column to help support and erect the spine. So without our muscles, this skeleton, it's being held up by this rod, but normally we would need muscles to hold up a skeleton. So if we didn't have any muscles, the skeleton would just collapse. Gravity would just take it straight down. Then from here you have your shoulder blades. These are your shoulder blades, 1, 2. And your shoulder blades come forward and back. Your rhomboids support those muscles. So this is just the back of the body. So I'm just gonna pull Ashley's hair, and we're gonna pull her hood up. We'll smack the back of the head, just easy. So your rhomboids are here, and this is where your shoulder blades are. And then you have your lat muscles, which start down just above your sacrum, and then they come up, they hook on the outer edges of your shoulder blades, and they're responsible for lifting the arms overhead. So your lat muscles come from here, they originate down here, and they come up to the sides, and then they're responsible for just extending your arms overhead. So you're engaging your lat muscles. So that's just all those muscles that are involved. So you have your glutes, hamstrings, your gastrocs are working as well. Gastrocs are down here. They're attached to the back of the leg. They come up from the ankle. They help form the Achilles tendon. Come up through here. They attach on the outer edges of the, I should have started this the other way around, but that's okay. They come on the outer edges of your femur. So just so you know that those muscles are involved as well. Then from here they come up, your lat muscles come up, they fan out, then you have your traps working here. So that it's, if you could just, the traps or trapezoids or trapezius muscles are just shaped just like a trapezoid, the shape of a trapezoid. So they come like this, they attach to the lower scapula, they come back in, they attach to this part of the scapula, they come up here. Those are those thick muscles that are at the top of the shoulders. Very thick muscles, like when people say they have headaches or it's tight, right up there. They come to the top of the shoulders and they attach to the back of your skull. So they attach literally right back here. They attach underneath the hair, like there's a little bump. Everyone has it on the back of their skull. They attach right there, or it's called the nuchal line, just so you can tell, so you can see. So those are the major muscles involved. And there's a lot, we'll go over the anatomy of the muscles in a minute, meaning what they do, what their function is. Basically, all of those back muscles support your back and your lower back. And your glute muscles obviously support your pelvis, the back part of your pelvis. Your hamstring supports the back part of your the back part of your leg. Your calf muscles support the back part of your lower leg. And all those muscles are involved, just are in the back body. So when you're doing a down dog, doing an easy pose, those muscles are involved. Then we turn around, just turn the skeleton guy around. When you're in your easy pose, you have your shin muscles here. Obviously we have our feet, right? We have our feet here, you have muscles here called tibialis. There's a whole bunch of other small muscles, but the major muscle here that you see popping out is called tibialis. That's what that muscle is. And then from here, you have your quadriceps. They attach literally from the top of the hip, come through the hip, and they attach and they come down the quad. There's 4 of them. They come down the thigh, and then they attach around this joint here, and they come down, and this is your patella. Right here is your patella. They attach to the patella tendon, which is patella to the bottom of the patella, which creates the patella tendon. And they're responsible for doing this. That's what your thigh muscles are for. They bring this up here. And then in here you have your hip flexor, or psoas. So as I was saying, it's just a joke. So you have your hip flexor, which originates just around where the belly button is, comes about 2 inches out, and they attach to the front. I'm just going to turn this sideways. They attach to the front of these spinous processes. They attach to those.
I just wanted to ask you, in your 25 years of anatomy experience, when I was playing around with the skeleton to prepare with this class, it surprised me how heavy it was to hold up the foot and the leg, and I thought, well, no wonder we have such big muscles here. But do you feel like weight-wise, because it is a replica, like weight-wise, do you think the foot and the bone is really that heavy?
Oh, they're heavier than this.
Wow.
They'd be heavier than this, and it's a lot stronger.
Wow.
So like these, in ancient times, we used as weapons. They used this as a weapon in ancient times. These are very powerful. I made one little mistake about the psoas. So the psoas, it originates from the front of the spine. It doesn't attach to the spinous processes because that's in the back. It attaches to the foramens. These little things that stick out right here. That's where the psoas attaches. It comes down through, and then it hooks up with the iliacus. So psoas and iliacus hook up together here. They come on the inner part. The reason why I'm taking my time with this muscle, because this is the most important muscle in the body and in yoga. You're using it every day, all day. It comes through here and it attaches right at this. So right here, you have what's called the lesser trochanter. Attaches right there. Lesser trochanter. I didn't talk to you about the greater trochanter, but we'll get there. So it attaches right there. Comes right through the groin. So if you have a groin pull, but you feel it up into your belly, most likely the psoas is involved.
I just wanted to make a few points so it sticks in our head, and I don't know if this will show on camera, but so is the red the muscles and the yellow the nerves or something? I don't know, but this muscle you said that was behind the skull, I was thinking that this could be a good visual aid.
No, that's not. That's not really. That's actually just the red is probably muscle, but the skeleton is mainly. These are all like what these are just showing you the nerves where the nerves come out.
Okay, I see.
Some skeletons will have like red on the actual bone, and which will show you which are the muscles and stuff.
I
like
see.
that. Like this here is just showing you that this is this is a nerve, like a different type of nerve that comes out of the brain to come down. That's all this really
Yeah,
is.
or an artery.
Yeah, something like that.
Okay,
Right.
that makes sense. The other thing I noticed about this, and I don't know if it'll show on the camera, but you really see how this spine is curved.
Yeah.
And so when we lean our hips a little forward, we're sitting in easy seat when Peter said to lean forward and back until I found my natural space. It's really trying to get that bottom curve, which will result in a little bit of a top curve. So
Yeah.
all this trying to be straight is just making tension. When we understand our anatomy, sometimes like with body image issues and things like that, we have unrealistic expectations, but when we understand our anatomy, that our back is not straight and is actually not supposed to be, it's supposed to have this curvature, then I think it also is empowering because we're not trying to fight our anatomy to match like a photo or something.
Well, that's actually perfect. And I'm just going to slide this guy over just a little bit. No, stay right where you are.
Okay.
That's actually a great point, Ashley, because we do have a cervical curve, which actually pulls the neck slightly forward. Then we have a thoracic curve, which comes, so this curve kind of goes inward. The thoracic, because of the rib cage, kind of goes outward like a little hump. And then the lumbar curve, this is the lumbar curve, comes down like this. So the lumbar and the neck curve are almost like the same. They almost come forward ever so slightly, right? So they're coming forward ever so slightly. And then your sacrum, which is independent of your spine, it's attached to the spine, it's fused. The processes, the spine, the vertebrae of the sacrum are fused together. Then the curve starts to come down again, so matches the thoracic curve, which is here, comes down, and then you have your coccyx, which is your little tailbone. Everybody thinks that the sacrum is the tailbone, but your coccyx, which, as you can see here, I can actually wag my tail. You can actually do that. You can't obviously eat it. It'd be weird if you could. If you could do that, God bless you. But this actually moves, and this can actually cause a lot of problems for some people because sometimes this is pulled either to the right and under, or pulled to the left and under. And there's ways to get this loosened up with yoga and to do things. Frog pose is amazing to get this loosened up. Child's pose is amazing to get this loosened up, get the muscles away from here. Any type of hip opener helps loosen this up. And if you have a free tail, imagine what you could do in life.
Yeah, that's so crazy. So it's really loose.
Yeah, it moves. Most people don't realize that it moves. Your sacrum moves as well, but not as much.
Yeah.
And your lumbar spine moves not as much. So the thicker, right? Thicker, less movement, more movement here, a lot of movement in the thoracic, right? So your thoracic is from, so let's go over this. This is your coccyx, then you have S1 through S4, right? And then that's, so your glutes attaching there.
S1, like what are these, like the science, you know, what?
Anatomically, these are anatomically part of your vertebrae.
Okay,
So there's 4 sections of vertebrae.
I see. Oh, so S stands for section.
Section,
Okay,
4 sections of your vertebrae.
Okay,
So this is
I
your
see.
spinal column,
Yeah.
right? So while we're here, right, let's just address it.
Yeah.
So when I tell her to sit up with the crown of the head, a lot of people, excuse me, I'm just gonna put my hand on her. No, you stay right there. A lot of people do this when they say crown of the head. That's not your crown, your chin's not your crown. Your crown is here. So I say press your crown of the head up toward the sky. That makes you taller. So what you're doing is you're creating length right here. So let's address that crown of the head. Then you have your cervical or neck spine that comes down, which the curve goes inward, goes forward. Then you have C1 through C7. Then you have thoracic, which is where a lot of our problems come from. Think about sitting at a desk, hunchback. Thoracic spine, we're falling even more forward, right? So it creates more of a hunch. And it's already naturally curved to come backwards, right? So, and then I'll tell you the muscles in a minute that pull on that. So you have T1 through T12. Then you have thicker lumbar vertebrae, L1 through L5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then you have your sacrum, which are fused together for most of us, go from S1 to S4. And then you have your coccyx, little tailbone. I would say wag your tail. Wag it, wag it, wag it.
I guess like what jumps out at me, which I think is so interesting, is that actually I almost feel like we're looking at a stegosaurus or something, a dinosaur. But the actual shape of the bone seems to change with the curvature, and so all this emphasis like, oh, why isn't my back straight? I don't think, like, something might pinch or something if it was, so I just think it's interesting, like the lumbar is designed to go inward and it's shorter and thicker, and then I forget the name of the
thoracic.
The thoracic part of the spine is supposed to have a slight curvature forward, and the plates are actually just really shaped differently. So the shape of the plate corresponds to that. Or,
spinous processes, they call it.
Okay, the spine.
Spinous processes.
And I don't think they can take degrees away, so I have mine, and so that was cramming. But yeah, so it's interesting how the shape corresponds to the function. So anyway,
so they move different, and they move differently. So the spine can move differently, right? So you can actually have your lumbar spine go this way, and your thoracic spine go this way, and then your neck spine go the opposite direction.
Oh,
So you can move the spine in all different directions, right? So obviously we can't twist 360 degrees. If that was the case, I don't think you'd be standing. So that's part of it. So let's just go over easy pose 2.
Yeah.
There's a muscle in here that's very important for the lower back, that supports the lower back. You don't see it, but this is your floating. So we have 13 ribs. Most people think we have 12. We have 13. There's actually a floating rib. It doesn't attach anywhere. There's actually 1 to 2 floating ribs in some people. Most people don't even realize that. But in your rib cage is not only in the front. You have ribs in the back. So you have a rib housing that houses our most vital organs, right? Heart, liver comes up and under, lungs, right? Perineal, right? That's underneath here too. So there's a lot of important organs underneath here, and then you have what I call spare ribs, or our intercostal muscles are between the ribs. So like when you breathe, a lot of times, think about the way you sit. This skeleton, if it had muscles and I push the chest in or sternum, would begin to round forward. So make believe I'm pushing you in your chest, round forward. This is an exaggerated version. So sit sideways actually for a minute. So this is an exaggerated version. So round your shoulders forward. Why does my back hurt? Why does my neck bother me? Why does my lower back bother me? Why does my neck hurt? Why does my head hurt? Why am I getting headaches? Shoulders come up towards the ears here, right? And then you're rounding forward. This is an exaggerated, but this is how some people are. And then so to get this here, I always want to walk around with my knee in between people's shoulders and get their shoulders back. That requires stretching your chest muscles, so your pecs. So that just wanted to go over that a little bit. So you have your pectorals that come into here, and they go under. If you're a woman, they go under the breast tissue and they attach to the sternum. And in between each rib, you have intercostal muscles that are for breathing, expansion, and contraction of the rib cage. Expansion and contraction of the ribs. A lot of time people are chest breathers. No, that's a no-no. That's fight or flight. We want to be rest and digest. We want to be diaphragm breathers. I'll explain the diaphragm in a moment. So you have all those muscles between here. So just when you're sitting, all those muscles become tight. Your shoulder, your deltoid is here. That becomes tight because you're rounded forward. So you end up rounding forward. So look at the head of this bone. Rounds forward. We don't want that. We want nice freedom in here. We want to be free. We want freedom. That's what we want in this lifetime. At least I want to. Want freedom. And then underneath all this, there are other muscles, other things going on. Don't worry about them right now. You have your diaphragm that goes up and down. So it expands up and out as you inhale. Fill the belly like a balloon. Exhale, contracts down. and then you have your pelvic floor here. What that muscle does, because it is a muscle, the diaphragm, what it does, it actually massages your digestive system. It actually massages your colon, your large intestine, your small intestine, your abdomen, stomach. It massages all of those muscles. So just breathing. Just inhaling. Draws it up, exhale. So a lot of times people breathe here. This is where we're in fight or flight. This is where we go into a whole sort of things that's not for this class. I won't explain it, but we go into, it's that tape we play in our head. The worry, the fear, the anxiety, all those things. That's not for this class. That's not for this purpose. A lot of times we end up breathing here. We can bring the breath into the diaphragm. It's not saying insecure, but it helps calm the situation. So diaphragmatic breath is so important. And we're going to do that in our easy pose. So there's a lot with this, just this. It's a lot with just easy pose. So again, we explained psoas, and when you turn this guy around, showing you his bony butt, there's muscles in here. There's a big muscle in here called QL, or Quadratus Lumborum, QL, right? It attaches from the lower rib to the top, and it goes along the spinous processes, along these edges here, and attaches to the top of the back of to the posterior aspect of your ilium. This is your ilium. This bony is your ilium. So there's a lot going on, huh? A lot going on, just to sit down. All right, so let's take Ashley through easy pose with breath, and we'll infuse anatomy into that. Then your anatomy is done for yoga, just easy now. So Ashley's very comfortable for me, but if you don't, very comfortable with me because I know her for a long time, but if you're approaching your yoga student and you're doing a one-on-one, I don't recommend you just go in and touch and lean in. I recommend you invite, Ashley, may I just place my hand on parts of your body, meaning your shoulders and head, maybe your upper back, maybe your abdomen, just so that we can find a comfortable seat with your easy pose.
Sure.
Okay. So the first thing I would have Ashley do is actually don't sit like a yogi, just sit, yeah. So I come around, this is awesome. I come around, right? You might have a yoga student doing this in class because they're like, oh God, I just want to start class, I just want to get into it. I just want Savasana already, you know? Or I really want to just flow. So you might have that. So I would come around and have a private yoga student or in a class sometimes, and I'll say, I always say easy pose is not so easy, all right? So from here, what I would say is, Ashley, lift the crown of the head toward the sky. Pull the belly, and then just gently pull the belly in and up. Slow, softly, in and then up. So the belly button in towards the spine. So this is, someone has a little rope pulling it back behind you, pulling that belly button in. And then I place my hand on her lower back, but as what I'm doing is, as I'm placing my hand on her lower back, I'm trying to get her to guide her sacrum down toward the earth. So you see, automatically, she stacked her hips, her shoulders over her hips. And then the next thing I would do is, I'd take my hand just right at the top of the chest here. I'd have her lift up with the chest ever so slightly. Yeah. And then there's another adjustment with the abdomen. Pull the belly in and up. Did you feel that? Mm-hmm. Then I would say, open through the heart. All that means is draw the shoulder blades or collarbones, clavicles, away. And then shoulder blades in towards one another. So I'm just going to demonstrate. Pinching the shoulder blades in towards one another. And then you have to make another adjustment. Belly in, sacrum down.
It's true that when one goes in, the other goes out. So when I put my shoulder blades back, then I let go of my stomach. And so then, you know.
It's the constant, reminders, constant adjustments.
It's like picking blueberries in a full basket.
Exactly. And then again, lift the crown of the head. And notice she already, so if Ashley's shoulders were up by her ears, then it's already gone. It's already relieving. And guess what? You're already beginning to relieve tension in the back of the neck. She has a very tight left side of her neck. I know that because I'm her massage therapist as well. So this also relieves those areas as well. And then once you open through the chest here, turn the palms to face up. It helps open it, keep the chest open. And now you're ready to receive this day, this moment. Now, for some people, this is uncomfortable. For her, it's not. The only adjustment I would have her do is if her knees, can we just lift your knees a little? Both. So sometimes people have very tight hips. I'm one of them. So what I do is I place a block, and I'm going to go get a block, stay right here. I place a block under the sacrum because we want our hips slightly higher than our knees. Why? Because we want our pelvis to be open to receive. So stay here.
I have.
Oh, awesome. So I'm just going to ask you just to sit up 1 second. Just come, and then we're going to come back into easy pose. Just, yeah, you're going to come
Stand up?
Yeah, just come 1 second. And you're going to come over here and have a seat.
Okay, awesome. Oh wait, sorry, just a minute. Okay.
You're going to come back to easy pose.
Okay, great. Okay,
So
so I sit on the block?
For guys that have very tight hips, I'm one of them. No matter how much yoga I do, they're always tight. Does this feel a little bit more inviting, a little bit more open? Do your hips feel a little bit more relaxed?
So it feels easier to get into the proper back alignment. So I,
Do you know why? Because
no.
your left leg is tight, right? At times.
Yes.
So did you notice that when she was sitting down, her hips were just, I mean, her knees were up like 2 inches. I would not go into her yoga class if she was taking my yoga class in an open class and tell her she needs to put blocks under. Why? Because that'll come as you flow. It'll loosen up and she'll be flat. And she just woke up a little while ago, so. So notice that this is a little bit more inviting. And this automatically puts her in alignment. You hardly ever have to cue when you're on a block. So her navel's already in, her sacrum's pressed down, she's lifted up through the crown. So she's already back in that easy pose. So let's address the legs a little now. Just for me, actually, just for our purposes, just extend the legs out in front for a moment. All right, so again, another good thing, if you're in this pose here, which is a very, very, very popular pose, which is Dandasana, or staff pose. Like, I know I skipped a little, but what's just amazing is if you're lifted, you get more hamstring stretch here. And if you have your flex your toes towards your face, you get the calf involved as well. So notice, look how straight her spine is here. So let's address this a little bit. If Ashley had a bad knee, I have technically some arthritis and stuff. So easy pose is not so easy for me all the time. Sometimes I have to extend my leg out. So if Ashley had a bad leg or a bad knee, or she was having a bad shin or ankle bothers her, I would have her extend one leg out to the side. So let's make believe her left leg is bad. Extend it out to the side. And then what I would do, so I don't like this hanging. I'm about support and finding comfort.
So,
This
part of, sorry to interrupt, but part of ShareLove.Fund's training is for incarcerated women. I try not to use props because the idea is that everything you need, you already have inside of you.
Yep.
And the block doesn't need to be anything fancy. You can put your shoe under you. You can put a big book. Maybe you have a Bible.
A rolled up towel, a rolled up blanket.
Okay, that's a great idea, rolled up towel or blanket.
Or a pillow.
Yeah, or a pillow. Also, instead of sitting on a block, if you maybe sit on the edge of a bed, that can...
Or edge of a chair.
Yeah, edge of a chair, I guess. Well, not in this way, because you fall, but with if you have the legs down, you can enjoy the slant from...
So this is if you have props to help you, support you, but if you don't have props, let's take this away.
But I think
Let's come up with this.
you know, the props can be anything. In some ways, you could even use your own foot maybe as a prop to elevate your leg.
Yep. So let's come into easy pose again. So I just wanted to show you contraindications, and now let's have Ashley come forward and back, using the pelvis forward and back, rocking forward and back. And then when you're ready, come to that nice comfortable seat, lifting up to the crown of the head, closing your eyes for just a moment. taking an internal scan of the body. And as you arrive in this moment, because this is all we have, is this moment, the present moment. Presence is all we have here and now. As you arrive in this moment, and you take that internal scan of the body, just notice how you feel. Now we're going to begin our brief meditation. So now that we went all over the anatomy, you can see how this anatomy applies to the rest of the postures in the sequence we're about to explain.
And the meditation is kind of the interplay between the physiology and I don't know, it's sort of for someone who really has no science background, like, you know, like kind of what is physiology and like how does that?
So the physiology is the chemical makeup in the body.
Okay.
Right, the physiology, the physio part of the body, right? And the anatomy are the muscles and bones.
So when in this section for the RYT 200, we have Yoga Alliance requirement is 30 hours of anatomy, biomechanics, and physiology. And so in doing a meditation in Easy Seat, we're connecting the, I guess kind of like the nervous system of the body with the muscles, because the physiology is what triggers, I guess, our muscles to do things,
Absolutely.
you know, when we're stressed and stuff like that.
Hormones, blood flow, our lymph system, our urinary system, our circulatory system, our respiratory system, that's the physiology.
So I guess part of getting in the right position is physically moving your body, but another, and this is sort of the mind-body connection, other important steps in getting in the appropriate position is also to address your physiology, which you can do through meditation. So
And breath.
And breath. So for someone who's kind of new to yoga, it's may seem, wait, why are we meditating when we're trying to get into a pose? But that's sort of one of the critical steps to getting into the pose. So anyway.
It is, and you're absolutely right. It is one of the critical steps. However, even though it's critical, it's not detrimental if you don't do it. Yoga there's nothing wrong if she's not sitting right. It's just, what's wrong is if you feel like you're wrong. That's the only wrong, to be honest with you. I'm not saying I'm always right, but there's nothing wrong about just making an attempt, right, to do something. And I always feel like yoga is a lifestyle, it's not just a pose. This is not just yoga. Yoga is off the mat, on the mat, in your car. It's a practice, it's a lifestyle. It's not a religion, it's a lifestyle that you embody if you want to. This is just an open invitation to embody it. So let's just tap into the breath for a few moments. Thank you for bringing that up, by the way. And then the next thing, so we're going to address the face, and we're going to take a scan of the body so that she can begin an inward journey for a few moments. So I'll step off the camera. Ashley, begin to take an internal scan of the body. As we try to put space between our thoughts, soften the eyelids to relax the eyes, releasing the tension between the eyebrows. Gently part the lips or unclench the lips to relax the jaw. And if available, to inhale through the nose as you expand the belly like a balloon. And then pause. And then exhale through the mouth as you release the breath from the belly. Flattening, emptying. Pause. Inhale, fill the belly like a balloon as you expand and draw breath in through the nose. Pause at the top of the inhale. And then exhale it out through the mouth.
four corners, front, back, right, left side. And then breathe all the way up to the top of the chest, into the lungs, into the heart. And then pause, nice long inhale. And on the exhale from the heart, the ribs, and belly. And then pause. Inhale, fill the belly. Expand your ribs in. And then breathe all the way up into the heart. Exhale from the heart, the ribs and belly. Few more rounds of conscious breath at your own pace. And then very, very, very slowly begin to return back to your normal cycle of breath. Without trying to control or force anything. Just arrive into that space. We stepped a little outside of our comfort zone. Now we're stepping back into our comfort zone. Maybe. With a fresh set of lenses, a different perspective, a different understanding. Just notice what a few moments of conscious breath can do. I know this was a long explanation to get into this pose, but we went over the anatomy, the physiology. And look at Ashley's face, it's changed, it's softer, it's more red, more flush. And she's arriving into this moment, into this day, ready to receive.
I think this is great because this is a pose for everyone. If people have older relatives that say, oh, I can't do yoga or this or that, this is actually, I think this was worth the time because, you know, even in a wheelchair with a modification, somebody can experience the benefits of this pose. So thank you so much. It feels great. So.
Well, what's amazing about what you just said is that, and the whole thing here is that yoga is accessible to everyone. An easy pose doesn't have to be on a yoga mat. It could be on a bed, it could be on a rug, it could be on a towel, it could be outside on the grass, it could be in a chair. And if you don't have legs, it could be accessible too. It's accessible to everybody. If you don't have arms, it's accessible to you. If you're pregnant, if you don't have the right area, if you live in a shoebox, it's accessible. Because it's about embodying just a comfortable seat. It could be on a park bench. It's about embodying the breath and putting space between our thoughts, regulating all of our body's needs, coming back to balance, back to homeostasis. Easy pose, meditation, and breath are the foundation for everyday life. It's been a pleasure to guide you, and it's been a pleasure to lead and be led by you, Ashley. Thank you so much for your time. Namaste.
Namaste.